Hello and welcome to this brief video introduction on how to install and configure the CHS Extranet application for your RM network. What you're looking at currently is the new look CHS Extranet website, which can be found at chsextranet, or one word, .coplex.com. Right. So first of all, you'll need to remote desktop into your server and load up Internet Explorer. In Internet Explorer, you'll need to go to microsoft.com/downloads. In Microsoft Download, so in the Microsoft Download Center, you will need to search for the .NET Framework 3.5. It will be the top download that you see there, Service Pack 1. What you need to do is download the file at the top, and this is the Bootstrap web installer. Basically, you'll go onto the web, download the latest version of the .NET Framework to your computer and install it for you. Once that is done, you'll need to load up IIS. You need to check now to see whether or not the .NET Framework has been installed correctly. You can do this by going into CHS01, going into Web Service Extensions, and checking to see if the ASP.NET v2.0.50727 has been installed in there. If it has, change it from prohibit to allow if it is prohibited. What you'll next need to do is create a new application pool. Now, I did one earlier, so I'm just going to delete that one and create a new one to show you how easy it is. Simply right click on application pool, click new application pool, call it something like Extranet, tell it to use the default app pool settings, and that's pretty much all you have to do application pool wise. You can go into the Extranet application pool, go into identity and change the identity. You can configure it to use the administrator's account if you want to use form authentication. So what you'll next need to do is go to the Coplex site, chsextranet.coplex.com. You'll need to download the latest version. The latest version, if you click on View All Downloads, is available in two formats. You've got the recommended zip format, and then you've got the extra MSI installer. The MSI installer will install into a default directory and will pre-configure IIS to run properly. So I've already downloaded this and I've saved it into the D drive temp folder. There it is. What you'll next need to do is you'll need to go into D drive RM network RM manage / web components. In here you'll need to create a new folder, call it Extranet. What you need to do is copy all the files and folders that you see in the zip file into that Extranet folder that you've just created. Give it a few seconds, and basically what it's doing now is it's copying the installation to that Extranet folder. Once that's done, you'll need to go into that Extranet folder and double click on web.config. In web.config you'll need to change under app settings, you will need to change all of these values and customize them yourself. So change the AD username to be the administrator's account of your Active Directory group. You need to, if you don't want to use the editing option that's featured below, you can use an Active Directory user that has been delegated read permissions on the Active Directory structure. By default, only domain admins have sufficient permissions to read the right values. You need to set the password that's associated with that domain user. You'll then need to change the establishment name. Now, I've just called mine CHS, but you can put the whole entire school name if it's a small one, just to make things a bit nicer on the My Computer browser. You need to customize the shared docs UNC, so basically change which server it's on. Same with the staff UNC path. The admin server UNC path, you can leave this like that if you don't want to use a separate admin server. Further down there is an option to disable it. You've then got the student photo handler. If you've managed to get a Sims export and you've managed to put it in the app data directory, which is a separate video, this is where this comes in. And if you've set the student's unique pupil number, which is the UPN, into the Active Directory schema. Below that, we've got the Enable Learning Resources link. Basically, that is by default set to true. Change it to false if you don't want it on. You've then got Enable Admin, which is related to the admin server UNC. So you can either have that as true or false. Then you've got Allow Editing To. This allows the user to update their details, basically their name and form, from the Extranet homepage. Now you can set this, limit this to just staff members. So you can limit it to teaching staff and non-teaching staff by doing that, and domain admins, of course. So it's a comma delimited string value there. So you can either have all, which is everyone. You can have none, which is no one. I'm going to leave it as all for now. You've then got allow RD Web to. This is if you've installed the Extranet application on a Win Server 2008 or greater server that you've installed terminal services onto. Basically, you can either set this to all, none, or a specific group like you saw before. Below then, you've got the student group. This needs to be set and it needs to be right. So basically, you've got just change the establishment code at the beginning from CHS to whatever and leave it as students. You've then got the admin staff group. Now this will most probably not be set in your case. Leave it as is if you are not using an admin server. If you are using an admin server, you will need to create an Active Directory distribution or security group and add all the staff members that you want as an admin member of staff into that group. Same goes for the SMT group. Underneath that, you've got student email format. This is currently in that format. When the user updates their details, it will update their email address in Active Directory. We're doing this because most people don't have Exchange set up for their students. In our case, we just got it set up for staff members. And what happens is staff members already, because they've got Exchange, they already have their email address stored, and they don't need this to change. Underneath that, you've got a bit of information about the bracket delimiters, which you can use for the student email form and the admin server UNC. Below that, you've got the connection strings. This needs to be changed. Scroll along and you should see connection string equals LDAP. You'll need to change this to the primary domain controller of your network and change this to being your domain controller, your domain name. Scroll further down and you should see something called Authentication. Under Authentication, we allow you to run in one of two authentication methods. You've got Windows by default, which adds added security, and then you've also got Forms. Forms authentication uses the uses the web browser to authenticate instead of using a Windows authentication pop-up box to authenticate. Forms authentication is simpler for the user to use. To make it use Forms, change this to Forms, and as you saw before, under application pools, you'll need to change the Extranet application to using the domain administrator's account. I'm going to leave this as Windows for now.